What's up? Good morning. How we doing, guys? Hope we're all having a good Tuesday morning here thus far. Market has been, of course, open for a little while, so let's get to work here, at least on stream. Roy, Kane, Troutman, Tony, how we doing, guys? John, good morning. Exploit the vibe. Good to see you. Maddie, Derek, how we doing? Good morning, guys. Gabriel, good morning. All right, Christian, how we doing? Day trade Tom, Vandy, good to see you guys. All right, we have a minute 42 out here from the close of this 2-minute bar. Of course, as you guys know, top left, we have the 5-minute chart. Top right, we have the 2-minute. Bottom of your screen, we have the New York session daily. Maybe we'll do a little 1-minute action. We'll have to take a look. Only if it's not too wiki, but for now, we're going to stick to the 2-minute. What do you guys think? What's your favorite time frame for scalping, at least lately? I know a lot of you guys are on the 5. A lot of you guys are probably on the 1-minute. Giovanni Joe, how we doing? Tom, 1 minute. Gabriel, 3-minute. 15-minute. Interesting. All right, 48 seconds out. Pat, good morning. Chris, how we doing? Good to see you guys. All right. 8 seconds out. Looks like we may close as a doji here. A little adjustment last second. Inside close, nothing there. Next bar, 2 minutes out. Okay, so you guys know I'm big on the on the 5-minute and the 2-minute. Let's switch over to a 1 and just look. Ooh, it looks pretty damn nice, doesn't it? Doesn't it? All right, we'll think about heading over to the 1. Just to switch things up. Listen, I know a lot of you guys, you get married to a time frame. You guys have heard me say constantly, just find a balance of quality and quantity. But if you remove the price and the time from any chart, as long as it's not so fast, like a 1-second chart, that it's obvious because it's so wiki, because there's such little data in each bar, as long as that's not the case, I am of the belief system that you can trade any chart the same way, as long as there's enough data inside of each bar so that it, isn't looking ridiculous, like a 1-second chart. The problem with the 1-minute, I know a lot of you guys are like, well, why don't you just trade the 1-minute? It's probably more heavily watched than the 2. I would agree with you. The issue with the 1-minute is that to sit here and trade it for 6 hours, you can start making worse and worse decisions as the days go on, or as the day goes on, I should say. It's not necessarily the case, though, for a couple of hours. All right, let's see here. Let's get a stop limit buy out and ready to rock in case we get a nice, clean close. Plant that. And we'll give that about 25, 30 seconds, see if we can get a fill and a push up through high of day. There we go. Go ahead and wrist this little curl. Boom, plant that there. Bring this upside a little bit. Pop out the position window top left, and let's see if we can get a decent little half to whole ATR push to kick off the day. Again, looking for a push up through 61. See if we can, not going to be a trillion stops up there. It's a relatively new level, but maybe a little bit of extra liquidity up through there. ATR currently, by the way, we're sitting at about 17-ish. Brandon, good morning. How we doing? Caden, Nico, do you trade a funded with more size? This is a good question. Do I trade a funded with more size, almost like an eval, until I hit the buffer? No. No, not really. If anything, I'd size up once I'm at the buffer. But listen, I get it. You can do that if you'd like. I think a lot of people do that, though, and they trade big just to get to the buffer, because it doesn't, let's be real, it doesn't really feel like you're actually funded until you're above the buffer. So a lot of people trade too big and then they just blow their fundeds. I mean, it's a tale as old as time. You can get funded. You don't really have a problem passing the evals, but once you're in the funded account, you have a hell of a time getting a payout. You just blow the funded on day 1 or 2, like every time. Now, obviously, there's heightened emotions in the funded account for a lot of people, but also you're probably consistently sizing up, maybe not even realizing that you're adding more than normal. Getting a little bit too big. And blowing it, man. Even a couple of minis in a 50k apex, that's pretty damn big to deal with that $2,500 trailing drawdown. Diesel man, good morning. How we doing? All right, Bulls, come on now. Let's not get trapped in this situation. Keeping an eye out on that, though, because you know the Bears are watching that. There's always both sides to every trade. And I'd like to see it push up through 61. High of day currently. A couple of stops up there. Probably good for 2 to 3 points. It's a pretty short-lived level thus far. There you go, Bulls. Do it to him. Take it up through the high. Give us a little bit of free liquidity with those stops. Again, not a million stops, but enough for a little bit of liquidity. We'll take it from there and see. ATR currently, again, this is a 2-minute chart, about 16-ish. Vinny! Hey, Wrench, thoughts on Fed Schmidt saying rate cuts are unlikely? I don't care what committee members say when it's not 2022. You know what I mean? In 2022, what they said was relevant. I don't know. I mean, they're in the position for a reason, I suppose, but the committee members, they just kind of talk. Their job is to, you know, they're regional positions, but when they're speaking to the country, their job is damage control. Slow things down, buy the Fed time. It's not 2022. It doesn't matter what they say. What matters is what Powell does. And we all kind of know what Powell's going to do. He's going to take as much time as he possibly can because the Fed's job is to make themselves look good in hindsight. I'm not blaming Powell. Powell's just doing his job. I'd probably have to do a similar approach. What you can't do is make massive turns with the giant, massive cargo ship that is the U.S. economy and then fucking be wrong. That's a huge mistake. You can't mess that up. So, you know, it's better to be late than wrong, is the Fed's motto here. All right, Bulls, come on now, do it to him. Pop him up through the high, 61. Give me that free liquidity to, ideally book the first trade on stream of the day here. ATR still about 15, 16. High day 61, 861 that is. Here's the test. All right, Bulls, let's grow a little bit of a backbone here. It was a push through 61, test that stop zone and see. Come on out, Bulls, you fucking wimps. Take it through. No backbone here out of the Bulls. Little bit of a double top. I still think they want to pop it through at least a couple of points for a little feeler. I think the Bears will at least allow that. Back-to-back dojis here. Bulls a little hesitant, take it through the high. It's all right for now. That's what I need out of them. All right, ATR about 15. Still here looking to get a little less than an ATR, if not a full ATR here out of this little scalp here, break the ice. Which lines up beautifully if the bulls can just break it through that high a day, even a couple of points. It's really all I need to see. Oh, 3 back-to-back dojis here. All right, we got a minute 55 left here on this 2-minute bar, kind of a new 2-minute bar. Let's see how this one closes here. Hey, Wolf, good morning. How we doing? All right, Bears. We gave you a little leeway. Now give us our little leeway. You know these bulls want to at least see a couple of points through 61. And just test the outside of this now little trading range. Which is also high of day, of course. But if the Bears do clock in a nice clean bear bar, just manage this thing early and move on. But I still like the bet. It's just taking its time here. Got some wimpy ass bulls here we're dealing with. Joe, I think it was like 35 or 3,600 by the end of the day yesterday. I'll take it. Not great, but I'll take it. Yeah, 5 minute, man. Ended day yesterday. Whole lot of scalps to the short side, I'll tell you that. But I had to work on a couple accounts individually. So I beefed up some individual accounts, but yeah, I mean, the total P&L, I wasn't copy trading, so it definitely wasn't massive. But in the couple accounts I worked on, beefed them up pretty nice. Okay, let's get an 861 push here. Take out a couple of stops. Should be good for, I'd say maybe 3 points at this point. Volatility is kind of falling off a cliff here. Down to 13 from, I think, 17. Just a few minutes ago. Brandon, the volatility data is just the ATR and the range laid over on top of each other in NinjaTrader. All right, we got a minute 20 out from the closer. This 2 minute bar, man, this volatility just got ugly, huh? Still no management decision here on this scalp. It's taking its fucking time, isn't it? What if we get a bear bar closing at the low outside of this little range, which we may get here, 60 seconds out? I'll cut this thing for a small little loser and move on, but I still think these bulls are going to want to see a break of 861 at some point here in the near future. Pretty aggressive double top there, though. You guys know how I feel about those flat tops, though. These babies tempt fate. All right, ATR now in the 12s here. When things start winding up tight like this, it tends not to sustain this low in terms of volatility. All right, bulls. All right, bulls. Pop us through 61, little into the high. At this point, as far as ATR is in the 12s. I'm looking to get 12, 13 points is kind of a minimum. Well, I suppose 13 is kind of a 12 and a half, 13 is kind of a minimum. which is full ATR or better here out of the scalp. But need those those bulls to finally give us that little test. God, you know they want it. They keep testing it. Do it, bulls. Do it. Do it. Good close out of the bulls there. A couple points off that high. Boom, there we go. Put a limit order out. There we go, I'll take it. 17 points, that's damn near 1.5 ATR. That's very nice. Now that wick, you could say, damn, you should have had the limit order. Well, how are you supposed to know? I mean, that definitely gave us damn near 20 points. Well, 15 points on the pop through. Those stops theoretically in most cases should be worth maybe at that point 3 to 5 points. You could say, well, maybe 5 to 7 because it became such an aggressive double top, but yeah, getting 15 points, that's not the norm, and that was so quick. I don't even know if I'd have gotten a fill anyway. And with the copy trader, their market order, so it wouldn't have been great fills. So man, 17 points, we'll fucking take that for breaking the ice on that little guy in the volatility conditions that we're currently seeing. That's 1.5 ATR. So, all right, let's move on. 55 seconds out from the rollover here, this 2-minute bar. Yeah, Joe, that'd have been nice, man, if it took out that protective take profit order way up top. All right, there's where we sit. Oh, by the way, that includes like $700, maybe a little bit more than maybe like 730 from a little work I did last night during Asia on one of the accounts or two of the accounts. So that trade was like $1,700, $1,750 maybe. Five-minute chart. I think if you put the copy trader in orders mode, the followers will be limit orders as well. Yes, they will. Yes, they will. And that's a really bad thing for me. I've tried that on not this copier, but it doesn't matter because they're all limit orders. They're all the same. I tried that on multiple different copy traders. And them being, I mean, listen, even when you're just trading like 10 accounts, but 10, 15, 20, you guys know I'm trading in multiple groups now to try to cut down on issues in the copy trader. But I think over 5 accounts, if you're running limit orders on all the followers, dude, you're asking for trouble. You're asking for trouble. You end up, it's a disaster, especially if you're trading micros and different ratios. Because what happens is, like in some of the accounts I'm trading 2 micros, and some I'm trading 3, 4, 5, or plus. And what you end up with is partial fills. So then when you try to close, it tries to flip you, and then you end up short, half what the position should be because you only had half the position size long to begin with. It's an absolute disaster. I just say, you know what? I'll just take slightly less favorable fills by using market orders on the follower accounts. Now, of course, my leader is a limit. But if my leader gets filled, just fill me on the followers and I'll deal with slippage and less favorable orders down the line. It's all worked in. Don, do you trade post-market often? No, not really, unless the volatility's good. Last night it wasn't too bad. Maybe an hour after the open, I sat down, did a little bit of work. I just had to clean up a couple accounts. Well, I mean, not clean them up, but beef them up. Because I was dealing in 2 of my accounts, I was dealing with a consistency rule issue. I'm ready to take payouts on them, but I need to beef them up for consistency purposes at Apex. So I was doing a little work there. Nah, Roy, when I say Asia session, it's just called Asia session. Like you have New York, London, and Asia. It's just the time of day. So like it's not really Asia because, you know, the US like nighttime futures open. It's not really Asia yet. Asia's more like overnight. But it's kind of just slang. I'm not actually trading like the Asian markets. I'm still trading just NQ. Just slang. All right, so we can see here this soft bull channel. Here, actually, if we look at the 5-minute, it's cleaner. This soft bull channel here is starting to flatten out a little bit, maybe turn into a trading range. So we got to keep that in mind when we're making our decisions here moving forward. Got a 1.5 minutes left on this 2-minute bar. All right, here comes the rollover here on the 2-minute. Here, let's swap over to the 1-minute and just see. Let's see what it looks like. Yeah, a little bit more wicky for sure, at least back here. But starting to clean up potentially a little. I'm open to the 1-minute, I think, when volatility is a little bit better. Because, you know, I mean, you end up with ATR that's pretty damn low. Then you end up having to do math in your head. Sometimes it's just easier to trade like a 2-minute or I guess a 5-minute. A 5-minute's a little bit slow. But the average quality of a setup, at least for me on the 5, is going to be slightly higher. But you're dealing with a decreased sample size. So it doesn't mean you're necessarily better off on the 5. But if you like to think a little more slowly, the 5 can do well for you. Usually your trades end up taking a little longer on the 5. You end up taking less per day on average. And you usually end up risking a little bit more and taking a little bit more per trade just because the range on each bar is a little bit bigger, right? So like dropping down from the 2-minute to the 1-minute, the average loser might be a little smaller. The average winner might be a little smaller. The average trade might be a little bit quicker. It's all the same. Just trade it the same. Redneck, what's up, buddy? How we doing? Good to see you. All right, now I start to think, you know, hey, are we looking at this kind of deal? Or is this going to turn into maybe this kind of deal? Both of which, you know, at least in the early bars of that discussion are pretty damn similar. You know, as we start to flatten out, it starts to get more and more tempting for the bears to start getting short in the higher region, which might end up, you know, turning this ascending resistance into a flat top. But either way, I am interested in maybe getting long on a strong bear bar that closes inside of this wick. Maintains the range, and then I bet against the break downside because, you know, as we know, these soft bull channels, they usually, keyword being usually, meaning 60% of the time, 55% of the time, don't turn into soft bear channels without first going sideways for a little while. Usually. Keyword. All right, 57 seconds out here. Let's see how we close up on this 2-minute bar. All right. Let's see here. Copy trader engaged. Limit order out. See if this turns into a sideways trading range. There we go. That is the lower third of that sideways trading range. Yeah, that's tight. That is tight. I'm going to place it beneath this bar as a protective stop, and then I'll take it bar by bar. So that risk is not necessarily the full risk. We'll just see how this develops. ATR is still sitting about 12. Which, you know, it's not tremendous. So still looking for maybe half to a whole ATR on scalps like this. And risk managing bar by bar. Now, of course, we can always get news, so keep that in mind. All right, minute 45 out here from the close of this 2-minute. Again here, just taking things bar by bar. ATR sitting below 12, about 11 now. A full ATR on this scalp would be tremendous, but I'm not looking to take half. That'd only be 5.5 points. That's kind of light. I prefer to get closer to a full ATR on this trade. I mean, there's plenty of room inside of the channel to get a full ATR. Only thing in the way is this, arguably this kind of flat top, but that's all right. Skiddo, how long do Apex payouts usually take? What, to get approved or to hit your account? They can take time, both ways. Yeah, I mean, approval is kind of all over the board. It's usually within, like, a business week. Usually a couple of days, but if they really have to dive deep, like maybe you take a lot of trades and they really have to look to see if you're breaking rules, it might take a little longer. The money, once it's approved, I've had the money in a couple of days. I've also had the money take a week and a half, 2 weeks. Again, Apex, I love Apex. I've never had an issue with Apex. I've always gotten the money. I've never had a problem. It's great for scaling. But if you're someone that's like trying to bootstrap going full time, I always say this, guys, take profit trader is your best bet to start. Is it a little more expensive up front? Yes, but if you're going to bootstrap going full time, you need money coming in, like now. Take profit, once you're above the buffer in a take profit pro count, you can take daily payouts. They're quick, especially if you request the payout early in the morning. It gets usually approved within 60 to 90 minutes if you request early in the morning. And then when you once they approve it, you press proceed and it's in your bank account before you even open the app. At least for me, it's always in there very, very fast. All right, ATR maybe 10 or 11 now, so watching that here. Currently 7 points, 6 points in the money. Decent close, they're out of the bulls. Still kind of an inside bar. Coming into that little flat top that could cause a little hesitation out of our bulls here. But again, I'm still looking to grab at least a full ATR here, maybe 10 or 11 points out of this little scalp. Alright, now bulls, do it to him. Take it through this little flat. That little flat there. It's kind of being a little son of a bitch. There's the test. There's about one ATR. See if we can get a fill. Yeah, ATR is at about 11. Got about 10.5 there. I'll take it. Again, on scalps, I'm looking for a half to a whole ATR, but when ATR is low like this, usually it starts going to 75% to a whole, if not more, of an ATR. And again, for those of you guys just joining us, the orders that you see that are out, the take profit limit, the stop loss, I'm managing bar by bar. So on scalps like that, more often than not, you'll see me manage early, losers early. It doesn't necessarily have to go to the full stop unless I never get a management bar before it does. Or if we get news, of course, which goes both ways. All right, guys, next trade. Here's where we sit so far on the day. Let's keep working. Joseph, do it well. Welcome back, brother. Good to have you. Man, if you guys haven't yet, like the stream, man. It helps out tremendously. Really does. All right, ATR creeping down toward 10, 11. Now is definitely not the time to swap out to the 1 minute chart and have some fun over there. So I'm going to keep an eye here still on the 5 minute and the 2 minute, which is, of course, you know, you're looking at the 2 minute right now. But if volatility does pick up, I'm not against swapping out with the 1. Well, it's good to have you every day, Javaz. Appreciate you saying so, brother. All right, a couple seconds left here on this. Here comes the rollover on this 2 minute bar. You can see here, nearing the top third of this range, but this range is starting to get kind of tight. Kind of tight here on this range. So let's get one more bar here and see. All right, minute 15 out here. Ooh, we're gonna get another opportunity. I don't know, man. This is where it gets kind of tough. Because you could say, well, you know, we're still looking at that, but what if this becomes a thing now? I tend to lean more toward flats if that's an option, but, you know, does that turn into something? Remains to be seen. I prefer to just look at what's in front of us rather than try to speculate. Well, I guess we're speculating is all we're doing, but you know what I mean. As far as, you know, drawing levels, hey, you know, what's the market looking at? The market's not looking at what you think might happen. The market's looking at what exists, at least the big sample size of people, which creates the self-fulfilling prophecy, right? All right, 15 seconds out. Let's see what we get here out of a close. How you guys doing today, man? Are you guys trading fundeds? Evals? I know some of you are on personals. How we doing? Don't be shy. There's no shame if you blew a funded. Fucking so what? You should be blowing fund, not all the time, but you know what I mean. You guys know, I think, if you've been around long enough, you should be blowing fundeds all the time because you should be trading small, but aggressively, right? You should be taking setups, and if you're taking enough, big enough sample size to make money, guess what? you're going to end up in a situation where you hit that statistical losing streak and it blows the account. So what? You get a new one. You're turning accounts over. Yeah, the expenses rise, but the income rises much more than the expenses do, because you average a positive ROI per account. That's kind of the goal, is to be churning accounts rather consistently. Is that not kind of the goal? Don't come into this thinking you're going to get married to your, Apex PA account labeled 1. Who cares? It doesn't matter. You're after money here. You're not after the ego of never blowing an account. No one gives a shit even if you tell them. Because they'll say, yeah, that's great. I blew 1,000 accounts and I made way more money than you. That's what they'll say, right? Doesn't matter. Chris, up 2.3K on my funded right now. Kenny made 200 bucks on an eval. Hey, man, progress. Don't talk down about it. Don't joke. Dron says nobody should be blowing funded. They need to learn how to trade correctly based on their drawdown, not gaming the system. All right, everyone has an opinion. That's fine. Brandon up 4K. The eval could work. All right, minute 45 out. Doing well, Zachary. How are you? Chris, back to break even after being up 800 bucks early. That's, hey. You know what else happens? You go down 800 bucks and you're back to break even. Remember when that happens? And you don't think about it the same way? It's part of the game, man. Even if you have a weighted coin, you can go on a five flip winning streak and then all of a sudden lose 8 in a row. It's still a weighted coin. If you flip it 10,000 times, you still win, as long as you bet on the weighted side. All right, 35 seconds out here from the rollover. 2-minute bar. Redneck, 500 away from passing 2 code. Big 50K take profit evals. Cool, man. The take profits when you pass that, that's a big deal. It's a hell of an asset. Passed 2 trade 550Ks today. Good work. All right, you guys can see here. Inside close, right inside of that high. Next bar here, minute 55 out. All right, 45 seconds here. Now, if we do get a pop through out of the bulls, if that does happen and we close near the high, gotta tell you, it's not my favorite setup because you're closing at the high of day if this were to occur, okay? In maybe a soft bull channel, but it would currently be an attempt at a breakout. So if I had to do something, I'd have to bet against it, but I wouldn't necessarily want to, because that would give the bulls some, in my opinion, some maybe unjustified confidence. But confidence nonetheless, at least temporarily, which might, you know, put me taking on heat a little quicker than I'd like. All right, doji close here on the 2 minute. Next bar, 2 minutes out. Michael, how we doing? Good morning. All right, ATR is dipping off, man. We're below 10 on the average true range of a 2 minute bar. Hopefully we can get some volatility coming back. Where's Trump when you need him? Someone call Pump, tell him to tweet something. Get some volatility going. There we go, a little bit. 15 seconds out here. This is what we just talked about, man. We're gonna get it closed near the high. It's kind of a tall order. That's a really tough area to get long, being that we're in a soft bull channel. Soft being the key word. Right, it's like, yeah, well. It's also kind of tough to get short because you're closing pretty much at the high of day. So let's give this one more bar here and see. A little more information. Minute 48 out. All right, 30 seconds out here from the close of this 2 minute. At this exact moment, my hands are tied. That can change in a couple of seconds, though, if you get an adjustment on a 2 minute bar. Just right now, this wedge is really tightening down. Volatility still falling below 10 now on the ATR. But you know that this doesn't last. I mean, we see this happen all the time. This time of day, you know, things might tighten up, and then oftentimes what happens, especially the last couple of weeks, what I've noticed is ATR will kind of die this time of day. Some days, not all. And then I'll come back after lunch and it'll be double what it was. Have you guys noticed that? ATR is like picking up pretty substantially in the afternoon, it seems like. There's another little pop through, huh? Redneck, using ATR would seem like a no-brainer, but I never really did until watching here. Now I use it all the time, and it helps greatly with expectations. Yeah, I think if you're scalping without some kind of volatility consideration, I like to use ATR, the average range of a bar on the chart that I'm watching. You're kind of flying blind as far as how much can you actually justify risking, even if you're going negative reward to risk. What's a reasonable expectation as far as, profit potential? If you're looking at ranges and stuff, you can kind of, use that to derive that number. But ATR is a much simpler thing to look at that pretty much gives you the same answer. Currently about 10, 9.5, 10 on ATR. All right, guys, back in 2 minutes. Go nowhere. Back soon. All right, we are back, baby. Okay, so with ATR this low, man, I mean, it's dumping off. We're at about 9. 9 on the ATR. I'm thinking, do I just trade 1 or 2 accounts, maybe? I don't know if I can justify trading all of them when the edge is a little bit smaller. When, you know, volatility is this low, the edge is certainly a little smaller. Thinking about it. Giovanni Joe, honest question, sir. What's been your experience trading all-time highs? More range and less likely of more bull runs, question mark? Or kind of the same, just nothing to the left? It's the same. I trade it the same. You know, I consider it, but there's always, you can have 50-50 both opinions of an all-time high. You can say all-time high, time to short. We're not going to break out. That would be more of a range opinion. Okay, or you could have the opinion of, hey, we're coming into an all-time high. It's been a range market. We're hitting all-time highs. This is going to be the breakout, and you get long. Which one is right? I don't know. Look at the price action, right? So it all just comes back to king, which is price action. So I trade it the same. I don't care. If we're breaking through all-time highs and it's a trend, I'll trade the trend. If we're breaking into all-time highs and it continues to fail and just acts like a range, I'll trade it like a range. So, you know, I care because I like to keep my finger on the pulse of what's going on, but at the same time, like, nothing really changes that much. Rovio taking things bar by bar, exactly right. All right, minute 45 out here. Market's kind of slow. Now, if I was going to put something on right now, I think what I would do, honestly, I'd probably take one of my static drawdown accounts, 100K static account at Apex, and put on more of a swing if I had to do something right now. And more than likely, that would end up looking like trying to get long on a pull-in toward the bottom of this range. Well, let's hope it doesn't come to that. Let's hope the volatility just picks up, man. Joe, Nico, let's do a game. Whoever can get the closest to your end-of-day P&L, I assume you mean guessing, can sit next to, do you mean trading or guessing the P&L? Can sit next to you and trade live with everyone. Big live trading day, Trader Fridays. Joe, 2 questions. Do you mean guessing or your own trading? And second question, do you mean on camera or in person? Oh, I assume you mean on camera. It's a cool idea, though. All right, Joe, I get it. Joe says whoever could guess, now we're not doing this yet, but Joe says whoever could guess my end of session, I suppose, P&L the closest, gets to come on stream and essentially co-host the stream with yours truly. Can't imagine there's many people that would a lot of you guys even want to do that for real? I imagine a lot of people would be like, no, that's okay. But some of you, man, I know. Man, someday in the future, I'm gonna have some of you guys come on stream, though. We got plans, man. We got big plans here. Gains. Let's go. All right, there's a push through into the high of day. Good. Immediately getting met with selling, of course. All right, minute 22 out. Let's see how this 2-minute bar closes. Finally, a little bit of volatility. Let's see if we get some action here. I'm still looking at this as a trading range, so I would prefer to get long on a bear bar closing near the low, but it's good to have this first. I'm open to it here. Keeping an eye on this look, though. All right, let's clean up this chart here. Let's see how this 2-minute bar closes up. Now, I still am of the belief that, you know, hey, I think we're in a trading range, but this can be a setup if you're willing to give it some room. So let's see how we close here. I'll have to make a decision in the next 5 seconds. Oh, what a hell of a close. All right, I gotta get long. I'll risk. I'm just gonna tighten things up and just straight up risk the curl. I could give it more room. I'm not going to. I imagine, you know, some heat. Taking on a little bit of heat here is not entirely unlikely, but I have to get long there. Gotta do it. Gotta do it. ATR is about 8 3/4, but we might see that start to pick up a little bit here. Yes, the 5-minute chart closing in a minute 15, also looking like a nice, decently sized bull bar there on the 5. Let's see if that bull bar here on the 2 can be enough momentum to take us a little bit higher, press us up. I want to get better than an ATR. ATR is less than 9, so of course I'm not going to scalp for half an ATR here. It starts to get a little too tight. So I'm looking for 1+ ATR on these scalps. It's kind of a minimum. Come on, bulls. All right, minute 52 out from the close here of this 2-minute. You guys know, taking it bar by bar here, looking for at least a full ATR. Remember, ATR is below 9 here. So I'm kind of looking to get at least better than an ATR. Got to be reasonable with our ask out of the market. I know we would love to get 50 points, 150 points. That'd be great, but when we're scalping, we got to work with the market, right? We got to work with the market. Market doesn't have to work with us. Got to be reasonable in your management, especially when you're scalping. Bull's kind of hanging out right around 23.9 here, getting a test. All right, bulls, do it to them. Looking for, again, ATR is around 9, so I'm looking for probably at least 10 points here out of the scalp. 1 ATR is a great move here. And I know it seems small and lame, but again, hey, Mark, when the market's not moving, you got to work with it. But we might pick up here, which would be very nice. There we go. There's 1 ATR, looking for a little extra. Decent close there out of the bulls. New 2-minute bar here. Come on now, bulls. Give me that cherry on top. Little extra above ATR, and I'll be happy. There we go. See if we can get a fill limit order out. We're filled. All right, about $1,000 ish. Let's move on. Next trade. Here's where we sit on the day currently. 23 seconds till the close here of this 2-minute. Actually, that's not the full P&L. Gotta show all the accounts. There's the full P&L. I shorted myself a couple $100, man. The fuck? All right, minute 20 out here. Still on the 2-minute chart here. You know, just for fun, why don't we just look? How's the 1 minute looking? Yeah, it's kind of wiki, isn't it? Volatility is still a little low. Back to the 2. And of course, keeping an eye on the 5. But we'll hang out on the 2 here for the time being. Joseph, Nico to use Apex as well. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Bunch of the accounts today are Apex PAs. So I'm running Take Profit, Apex. And then I still have to work on that. I hate to admit it, I have not even started the Bullinox qualification account yet. I am trading a Tradeify Lightning funded account that I'm doing relatively well in, actually. But I've only traded a couple days in there. You need 7. Oh, and then I still have to start that My Funded Futures eval. How do you trade, bro? Like, what's strat? Price action. Price action mixed with market context. Intraday and on the daily chart. New York session. Paul, good to have you, brother. Hope to see you back. Chris, pass another eval. Good work. Love to see it. Joseph's talking about Apex. Does Apex even have a rule? The answer to your question, Joseph, is no. Does Apex even have like an activity rule? I never let accounts go that long without trading them, so I don't even know. Like if you don't trade an Apex funded for a month, do they? Yeah, they do, right? How many days is it? Yeah, once every 30 days, okay. Yeah, Joseph, just make sure you trade your Apex at least once a month. All right, minute 35 out, baby. Let's see what we get as far as a close on this 2 minute. Well, we're what are we, 3 for 3 so far on the day? I think that's right. Tubed out, hit that 5K. Yeah, man, if we get a trade, we'll see. You know, Tubed out, I know you don't mean it this way, but all of you guys, please don't get caught up in like the big round number thing. Don't get caught up in it. 4,500, 5,500, it's all the fucking same. It's all the same. Just take trades wherever you land at the end of the day. Have a rough goal. And be happy with where you end up. You shouldn't, derive your value, your self-worth, your happiness from whether or not you're green, red, or break even. Your self-worth, as far as your professional life, your work, your trading, right, should be derived from, did you do your job to the best of your ability? Are you learning from mistakes? Are you trying to avoid the same mistakes? Are you breaking rules? That's where you should feel good or not so good. And I get it, you're here to make money, so when you're red, it doesn't feel so good, but, it's a battle, but do your best, man. All right, minute 25 out here from the close of this 2 minute bar. Big wick on that last small little inside close bull bar. Redneck, the mental approach to trading, I feel, is just as important as a good strategy, 100%. 100%. Now, over the years, obviously I've gotten a lot of questions like, well, how do you... I used to say a lot, and I still stand by this, that, in trading, as I think in life in a lot of ways, emotion always loses. And, that's not to say be a cold-hearted son of a bitch, but that's not what I mean. Like, you need to be there for your family and shit, obviously, but... especially in your professional life and things that you're going after, emotion, it's always going to lose. In trading, man, it's so true. But how do you fix that? It's not so easy. And I've given everybody the answer. You know, but the answer isn't a flip the switch and it's fixed. The answer is, once you trade long enough and you put in enough screen time and you have enough data and you look at it and say, holy shit, I have a statistical edge. When I do this, I am the casino over a big enough sample size. That fixes damn near 90% of everything, 95% of everything. Because when you're red, you don't care. You look at it the same way a casino looks at a small red day. They say, yeah, we didn't get a lot of business today. The sample size wasn't big. Let's focus on getting more people in the door, and then the sample size will work itself out. That's how a casino looks at that, assuming it was like a normal red day. Same business model. You got to look at, okay, how can I make sure I continue to not break any rules, but maybe beef up my sample size? Get more trades coming in the door, more people coming in the door, more trades coming in. Beef up the sample size without giving away the edge, and then the numbers work themselves out. The emotion just goes away. It just doesn't even matter anymore because you know the result. You already know what's going to happen as long as you do X, Y, Z. You follow your plan. Now, X, Y, Z is not, it's not do this setup, trade this setup, and make a living in 15 minutes a day. This isn't 2012 internet marketing. Like, it doesn't work, right? It's just all recycled. Oh, you can trade this one setup and make a living. Are you kidding me? If it were that simple, everybody with 3 days of experience would be a full-time trader. Obviously, that's not true. So what are we missing? We're missing discipline, emotional control, good, consistent risk management, discipline on the winning side as well. Like when I'm in a trade and it's 6 points in the green and everyone's like, oh, this thing's turning, you better take your profit now. Yeah, that's weak as absolute fuck. That's so weak. I wanted 12 points because it's a stop hunting mentality at 10. I'm 6 points in the money. I do not deserve to take it off yet, but a lot of you guys will book it because it feels good. Like a little kid. You just do what feels good. The discipline needs to be there. You want to do this for a living? It's hard. That's why it pays so well. And then you need to understand market context, right? That's why the one setup thing doesn't work, because you need, range market, trend market, different decisions in the exact same scenario. And everyone ignores market context. It's not difficult enough to ignore. Just accept that's part of the game. Look at market context, try to implement that into your strategies. Okay, are we in a trend market or are we in a range market? Christian, how we doing, brother? Argentina, huh? Good to have you. Cornell, do you think we'll reach 24,000 today? I don't know. I don't really care. If we do, I'll keep an eye on it as a tier 1 level. Right? But do I think we're going to reach it? if I don't care enough to put a trade on regarding that, then I'm not thinking about it. Just trade the price action, bar by bar, baby. Have zero emotional attachment with 24,000 or 23.5 or 23.9. Unless the market shows some kind of self-fulfilling prophecy, but still, just the levels in and of themselves, unless it's like an S tier level, like 20,000, 25,000. You know, maybe a tier 1 for a little bit of stop hunting, but that's really it. It's good for maybe one test and then it's over. And it's back to price action. I'll tell you what, Cornell. Let's run a poll. See what everyone thinks. All right, 50 seconds out here from the close here of this 2-minute bar. All right, poll in the chat. Does NQ hit 24,000 today? What do you guys think? Not that we care, by the way, but I'm curious to see what you guys think as far as the overall market. All right. Inside close, can't do anything there. Next bar. There we go. So when you see that P&L on screen change, by the way, that's me locking up my copy trader, and it disables a couple of the accounts. Well, it's only one account that I traded a little bit last night that has like 200, what is it, 225. So that's the full P&L on the day, 45, 40. All right, minute 15 out here from the close. Let's see if we can get, you know, again, we saw this kind of last time too. This starts to get a little tempting for the bears. You know it does. And why? Because you put in a slightly lower low. So let's keep an eye on that. Redneck got the affordable indicators copy trader. I've used the past 2 days. Works great. Yes, I like it a lot. I like it a lot. I have no affiliation. Though I gotta tell you, after using it for so long, I would. If they were like, hey, you want to do something? I'd be like, fuck yeah, you guys are building cool stuff. If you guys are looking for a copy trader, again, I don't have a code or anything, but the affordable indicator is one from, well, they're called affordable indicators. It's their copy trader. Joel over there, man, they made a really good copy trader. I've had extremely minimal issues with it. It's been very, very good. All right, let's see what we get here. All right, got to get long there. Let's see if that little descending resistance becomes a thing. And if it does, baby, we'll cut it, move on. It's all right, man. Risk on this trade is so damn tight, less than 15 points. But I do want to see if we can get a test up toward those highs once again. Bear is pulling this on back, minute 30 out. If we do get a strong bear close beneath here, pretty much 87, without hitting the stop, then I'll cut it manually and we'll move on here for a small loser. ATR, by the way, sitting right about 8. Which is interestingly right about at the high here. He's about 8.5 points. So I want to see if we can get a test, and then we'll see how we react up there toward the high if we can get that. Gaines says, Yo, Wrench, would you say that when the ATR gets crazy low that a pop usually comes afterwards? No, not necessarily. Not necessarily. A move is going to come. Usually with some kind of headline to kind of snap the market out of it. But as far as which direction on that move, that's essentially 50-50. So in between, we just trade the lower volatility price action. But, I mean, yeah, it's hard to deny that overarching... It's a soft bull channel, overarching on the whole day. At least since, about 10 o'clock Eastern. All right, 36 seconds out here. Let's see how the bears close up this bar. And if we got to cut it early or if we got to leave it on. Now again, the average range of a 2-minute bar here is about 8 points. My average here is about 8.5 points away from the high, which makes the management here a little interesting. We'll see how we test that high. That's what I want to see. Ideally, I'd like to see a pop through that high. But if we really end up struggling, I'm cool taking a single ATR. But I do want to see a test if we can get that. Though again, any nice bear close beneath the wick of the previous bar, or really this wick here as of right now, will require early management here. Just a scalp, so keeping it nice and tight. All right, about a minute out here. Well, another inside bear bar there. So on to the next here, minute 52 out. All right, 60 seconds out here. All right, now if the bears do end up closing this beneath like 896, 896.50 without hitting my stop yet in the next 20 seconds, then I'll manage early. If not, then there's nothing for me to do, and we got to leave it. So I'll get ready here in case I got to manage early. Again, a close beneath like 896.50 would do it for me. Five seconds. Nope. No move. Next bar here, minute 55 out. HR is about 7.5 right now. And I'm about 8.5 points-ish, maybe 8.5 points from the high. So again, that makes management up there, if we can get up there, a little more interesting. All right, another inside close there on that little bull bar. Of course, nothing to do on the bull bar. Sitting long, so, you know, two management decision makers here to the downside. Again, it starts getting closer and closer to the tight actual protective stop, which is, you know, just 14 points, which is small. But I'm keeping it tight because volatility is tight. But at this point, if we saw a nice bear close beneath that wick, so basically between 894 and 889, the closer we get to the actual stop, the more likely I just let it do its job so I don't mess with it and we get conflicting orders. But, you know, just below 894 with a bear close, and I would manage early or let the stop actually do its job if we get very close during a bar. And then, of course, I'm looking to see, can we get a test of the high up toward 1150? And if we can, that's a little more than a single ATR. So I would like to see a test, maybe how we react, but I'd be comfortable taking the test itself rather than a pop through. So preferably, I'd like to see a small pop through, take out some stops, get a few extra points of rocket fuel. All right, new 2-minute bar here, minute 55 out. $60 seconds here. Again, a bear close beneath 894, but still inside of the stop, and I would manage it manually. You could call it early, but that's not early. Part of the plan. All right, 35 seconds out. Let's see how this closes up here. If we get a close before stopping out. All right, when this gets close, we got to pay very close attention, and I will cut it there a little early, though, according to plan. Nice bear bar. Okay. All right, first loser of the day. We are 3-1 now on the day so far, and that's where we sit in totality. So yeah, it turns out that this is actually becoming a thing here. So keeping an eye on this. Though I would say, honestly, I think this is more of a wedge with a flat bottom than anything. All right. 40 seconds out here from the rollover of this 2-minute bar. Let's see if they break this little flat bottom with any kind of confidence. Let's see here. Comes the rollover. All right, guys, it's time for me to hit lunch. I will come back and trade on my own in the afternoon, see if we can beef up the P&L a little bit. All right, hey, the take profit trader deal is still, they ran the 4th of July deal and they kept it. I think they're gonna rip it out from underneath our feet here at some point, but right now, take profit trader with code BIG is 40% off. This is the best deal I've ever seen them run. 40% off, no activation fee, and when you take your first payout, they refund you the test cost on that for that first month on that account, which is ridiculous. So use code BIG if you're trying to bootstrap over at Take Profit Trader, a very good firm. I think the best firm to do that with the daily payouts once you are live, or not live, but in the pro account. All right, guys. Hey, be patient. Let it come to you. I'm 3 for 1. 4 trades on stream so far here today. 3 for 1. We're sitting up $3,400. And hey, be patient. Let the setups come to you. Volatility is low. Make a reasonable ask out of the market, especially if you are scalping. And when that setup does come, fucking hit it hard. Even in low volatility, gotta hit it. Gotta hit it. All right, guys. Hey, subscribe to the channel if you have not done so already. Use code BIG. And I'll see you guys tomorrow morning. Have a good one.